Not surprisingly, there have been many, many questions flying our way over the last 4 or 5 days about the state of the mask ordinance, the state of the order here in the city of Milwaukee. And I've had the opportunity now today and yesterday to speak with Commissioner Kirsten Johnson and her staff to discuss the next steps that we will be taking. As you may recall, just to recap, last May, the health commissioner issued an order. That order remains in effect until it is rescinded. And that is what we will be announcing, that effective June 1st, that order, moving Milwaukee forward public health order, will be allowed to expire. We had talked about this order as recently as last week, ironically, because early Thursday morning, we announced that we were going to have the order expire on June 15th, but it was literally hours later when the CDC came forth and announced that vaccinated people no longer need to wear masks. And that's when we started the process of implementing the expert advice to determine how the city of Milwaukee will move forward. So again, just to make sure that the announcement is clear, we are moving up the expiration of the Moving Milwaukee Forward public health order by 2 weeks. It will now expire on June 1st. And with that, the city's requirements for masks will also expire. The reason it will expire is that the ordinance that was adopted by the Common Council that I signed into law tied that into this health order and said that it would remain in effect as long as the health order would be in effect. Again, today with the announcement that that health order will expire on June 1st means in effect that the city's requirements for masks will also expire. I want to put a big exclamation point and emphasis point on this. From the outset, I have been very, very proud and I have pledged to follow the science and the evidence. So when the Centers for Disease Control announced that vaccinated people no longer need to wear masks, I felt, as did the health commissioner, that just as we have at every critical point along the way, followed the CDC guidance, we would continue to follow the CDC guidance. And in a moment, Milwaukee Health Commissioner Kirsten Johnson will provide some more details. But I want to make a couple other points. I think an obvious question is, why June 1st? Why not today? Well, first, individual locations such as businesses, schools, stores, and event spaces can continue to establish their own masking requirements. So we are offering this upcoming 13-day period so that they can determine what's right for them. These businesses, these establishments, they know their client base, their customer base, their user base better than anyone. And we all know that the CDC's announcement was a very, very much a surprise announcement. We want to give these establishments 13 days again to decide what's right for them. The second point I want to make is we all understand, every one of us understands that people bring different perspectives to this issue. Some feel very, very strongly that masks are still needed. Some feel very, very strongly that masks are unnecessary. I ask everyone to be respectful of the range of opinions and the circumstances that exist. But we need to remember that COVID-19 is still here. And if there's one message that we've gotten over the last week, it's how powerful and effective the vaccinations have been. Unfortunately, there are still quite a number of people who are not vaccinated, whether by choice or because of age or medical condition or politics. So if a store says its patrons should wear a mask, we all need to respect that. This is about respect. It's pretty basic stuff. We need to respect that. But I want to emphasize again, we have gotten to this point, and CDC made this surprise announcement, I think in large part because of the incredible effectiveness of the vaccination. And I know there's still a lot of people sitting on the fence, and there's some people who are opposed to it. We have gotten to where we are today, which I think is an incredibly important step forward because of those individuals who have gotten vaccinated and because of the success of those vaccinations. So if anyone is looking for proof about the effectiveness of these vaccinations, it is staring you right in the face, and it is the reason that the CDC has revamped its views. I also want to make the point that the city continues to offer quick, easy, and free vaccinations for Milwaukee residents at the Wisconsin Center and at the Northwest and South Side Health Centers. Vaccinations are available at the Wisconsin Center Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5:30 p.m., and Saturdays, 9 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. through Friday, May 28th. Beginning this week, as we attempt to bring vaccinations even closer to people in their neighborhoods, walk-in vaccinations are now also available for the public at 3 Milwaukee Public Library locations. Zablocki Library, located at 3501 West Oklahoma, and Washington Park Library at 2121 North Sherman Boulevard, Mondays from 1 to 5 p.m. and Wednesdays and Fridays from noon to 4 p.m. On the south side, another location is Mitchell Street Library, which is located at 906 West Historic Mitchell Street. That location will have vaccinations Tuesdays and Thursdays from noon to 4 p.m. Also, beginning this week, I'm very, very pleased to announce that 5 Milwaukee Public Schools will be hosting vaccination clinics from 11 a.m. at the following locations on select days of the week: Morris Middle School on Monday and Wednesday, Rogers Street Academy on Monday and Friday, Roosevelt Middle School on Wednesday and Friday, North Division High School on Tuesday and Thursday, and South Division High School on Tuesday and Thursday. These clinics will help us in vaccinating the newly eligible 12 to 15-year-olds, but will also be open to all members of the public. And it's our hope that the young people, the 12 to 50-year-olds, will bring their parents or their grandparents or their aunts or uncles to get the vaccinations as well. And we continue to work with our faith community on getting vaccine out in the community. This weekend, vaccinations will be taking place at New Direction Church, led by Pastor Eugene Cowan, located at 2127 West Garfield Avenue, on Saturday, May 22nd from 10 a.m. till noon. At Canaan Missionary Baptist Church, led by Pastor Fred Jones, located at 2964 North 11th Street, on Saturday, May 22nd from 10 a.m. to noon. Finally, I also want to remind residents to continue to take advantage of COVID-19 testing to keep our community safe. It is very important that we continue our testing efforts, even as we see our numbers dropping. We need to keep tracking and observing how the disease is spreading in our community throughout every step of the pandemic. Just as the vaccinations are free, the testing is free. Free community testing is available for anyone, regardless of symptoms, and it's available at American Family Field on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, as well as Saturday from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. And again, at the Northwest and South Side Health Centers, Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Receiving a test is free and easy. So, as good as the news has been, please, please, please do not let your guard down. Please get tested if you are feeling symptomatic or you think that you may have been exposed to someone who has tested positive for COVID-19. And if you haven't gotten the shot, get the shot.